Greetings, everybody. It's Jim, and timing, as they say, is everything. The old adage holds true in most things, even role-playing games and board games. And this one's a pretty interesting tale. I don't think it's an official story, but it doesn't take far to find out that this is probably the truth. See, the thing is, this game that I'm going to be talking to you today was probably supposed to be the United States versus the Russians, okay, the USSR. Basically, this is when, the space shuttles were getting into launch. They were talking about Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program and all that. So this really got into the minds of Wallace Wang, who wrote this game that we're talking about today. And the thing was, though, the USSR dissolved in 1991, and this game came out in 1992. So they had to change it from the Soviets to the Asian Poland Alliance. Okay, so it's the United States against the APU, not Soviet Union. Now, personally, I really wish they would have kept the theme of the United States against the Soviet Union. I mean, there's so much pop culture and history and even movies that actually help motivate you play a game like this. I mean, anything from Red October, heck, even Rocky IV would motivate you. Anything to get that conflict going, because that is what this whole thing was really about. This whole Star Wars and space thing was all about the United States against Russia, and changing it to something else. I mean, I know why they had to do it, though. Because, every war gamer under the sun would have lifted up their finger and said, you can't do that, it doesn't exist anymore, da 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 da, and then essentially the game would have been gone into the bin, which is unfortunate because it's actually quite fun game. So today, I am going to be giving you my review of Orbit War, published by Steve Jackson Games. So here we have an overview of the map board, and the first thing you're going to notice is it's not shy. I mean, it is bright, vivid colors. It takes a little getting used to, but then I can remember the type of technological feel at the time, and from other games. There was a game called Supremacy that kind of had those kind of bold lines, giving you a feel of technology, at least in my mind. Maybe newer gamers would be like, what the hell is this color scheme? But I think anybody a little bit older, it may be a little bit familiar. And I'm glad, though, that they stayed away from the stereotypical green that was over on most computers then. But this does give a feel like, if you played Triplanetary, or you're mapping out plotting coordinates and stuff like that. And even though this has got a very good movement system to it, you are going to be planning a few things. You don't have to write it down like you would in Triplanetary or anything like that, but yet you are going to be worried about the orbit itself of everything in the gravitational pull. It's very interesting how they do it, and it affects the game a lot. One other thing I will show you is you get a lot of counters in it. I mean, a buttload. And the first thing you'll notice also about the colors, they give a feel that the game's cheap or something. That was my first impression, like, oh, these counters are kind of cheap just because they're so bright and stuff. It just kind of gives that impression. But they are some of the sturdiest counters that I think I've seen for the era, quite honestly. They're very good. You just got to get used to it. And after a while, you get used to the map board. And I don't mind it because it's so bright and the colors are so contrasting. You don't worry buttload one about, blue on black counters or not being able to see what it says. These are very, very good in that regard. So we're 3 minutes into the video, and I'm already wondering, how many times can I say the word buttload in a video? We're going to find out. Okay, but I got my notes, so let's go here. Now, Orbit War is a maneuver-based game, okay? Combat's very simple. All right. Basically, it works on a differential. The attack strength minus the defense strength of the target equals the complete strength, and then you roll to see if you hit. And the thing is, any unit worth attacking with against any target worth attacking, it's really going to destroy it about 70% of the time. Okay. And the only thing that has range are missiles being fired from any of the units, and they have a range of 2. Okay, which may not seem like a big deal until you find out about the orbits themselves and how fast everything actually moves. You really do got to get close, and it takes a little bit of time. But that is basically what the game is about. It's all about maneuvers because of the orbits. Now, as you can see, those numbers along the orbital lines, that's how many involuntary hexes around the Earth the unit moves a turn, okay? So right in the inner ring, it's 4 hexes. All the way into the outer ring, it's only 1 hex a turn. And then even later on, it's one hex every 3 turns or 1 hex every 2 turns. All right. It really gets slow out there and you get a lot more maneuverability. Now you might be thinking, hey, you get to really boogie, in the middle there because you probably get to use your normal movement on top of the orbital movement. And you'd be right. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's as easy as maneuvering in big space because that orbit's constantly pulling you. Now, the game is actually very simple because the main movement and combat rules take up less than a page. Okay, maybe a column and a half actually, and and it looks deceptive because the rule book is about 12 to 16 pages long, but it's in big print. And really, like I said, those rules are only a column and a half long. The rest of the rules, other than the introduction and the scenarios in the back, are all about specific units and how they relate to those rules and the special circumstances. If you're not using those units, you don't have to worry about them. It's actually quite simple. Now, the thing is about this game is also it has got a tactical learning curve, not a learning the game learning curve, a tactical learning curve. That's the fun kind of learning curve that we should all enjoy because your first game is going to be a mess. You and your buddy are going to try to find out how in the world am I attacking? How am I moving? Where are my minds going? That's what happened to me. As a matter of fact, we look right here. I was playing United States in yellow here, and I had all the mines around my space station. My mind was thinking, hey, I want to surround my space station with mines all around me. The thing is that I didn't realize was at the time that the rings around the orbit rings, I should say, around switch every 2. Okay, so it starts with 4 at the very base of the Earth, but then it goes 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1. So you can't surround it completely. I mean, you can, but you're going to find out real quickly that some of the mines are going to go either faster than you or slower than you slowly as turns progress. Okay, because those are the number of those numbers represent the number of involuntary hexes that I said earlier that you move. Then you can move your own movement on top of it. So, the mines are actually supposed to be placed behind you for the most part. You can put them ahead of you maybe and stuff like that, but basically you're supposed to go behind you because that's where everybody's coming to get you at for the most part. Okay, because that's the only way to catch anybody. If you try to catch somebody going this way, it's not going to happen because most ships or orbital platforms, hunter killers, whatever, only move 1 or 2 hexes. Only rockets move 3. And as you can see here, if you're in orbit, you're already moving 2 or 3 involuntary in the clockwise direction. So if you're trying to go against the grain, you're actually losing ground. You'll never catch them. You'll never catch it. So you got to go around. And if you miss them, you either wait or you just go slingshot around the whole planet and really catch up with them faster. There's the whole matter of timing that goes on. Another thing is there's 3 different levels of starting the game. So in other words, in a scenario, you get 100 build points, you can build your forces, and if you start in orbit, it's the cost of the unit itself. If you want to start in deep space, okay, that means off the board. You have to declare what part of the board they're going to appear on after turn 4 is when they're eligible to appear again. But you get a 25% discount to your forces on that. And then even more so, if you want a real big discount, for half off, you could say they're still on Earth and you got to manually rocket them up. Well, of course, the only thing about that is they can only launch 3 rockets a turn from Earth. And one thing I didn't find out, and I was really curious about, as you can see on Earth right there, there are 2 cones. There's 2 sections. There's the red section, of course, for the APU player, and the yellow section for, of course, the United States, which is just a cone. And some of it's for victory points, because if you have like a jamming satellite, there's one of my favorite scenario, there's a jamming satellite, and every time it's in the opponent's cone, it's worth a victory point. That's a fun one to play. But the thing is, but one thing it didn't say is whether rockets actually start fired and they have to leave through that cone. It just said from the Earth. So I could technically leave from the opposing cone, which seemed weird to me. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of you right now because I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't done so already, please smash that like and subscribe button and let me know I'm doing a good job. I do appreciate it. So the name of the main scenario is just pretty much destroy anything, and you get victory points. You get victory points for anything you destroy of the enemy, and if you can throw a nuke in the enemy territory on Earth, you're going to get points there. And they have nukes. They have 3 nuke MIRVs and 7 nuke MIRVs. And I should mention also, there's a lot of opportunities for deception because you can flip counters over anything the rocket carries. You flip a counter underneath, and there are blanks, and you can basically, try to psych your opponent out and make them use those ever important missiles that they have, because there are limited in supply. You're building your forces ahead of time. I already told you about one of my favorite scenarios is going to be the, putting the jamming or spy satellite in the enemy cone. That's one victory point a turn. I would like to see, I'm going to put 4 of them up there and score 4 victory points a turn, come and get them kind of thing. There is one special one about a space shuttle that's just got to make it to Earth, and that's it. It's got some secret documents or something like that. James Bond and Moonraker, who knows? But that's the whole idea, is getting it to Earth safely. And then there's one called Total War, which is pretty much a campaign, and that's really big if you're really dedicated. Maybe that's where all those counters come in. Now, that could be a bit of a mess. I really think with all those counters that I showed you earlier, that's mainly just so you have enough for anything that you're doing. I don't think you're going to see all those on the board at one time. Again, the combat is very deadly. Now, another thing that I would also state is there is no stacking rules. Go ahead and put them all in one if you want to. However, there are some things about that. A nuke will attack everything in the stack with the strength of 5. Again, that's enough to blow just about anything up. Mines will take care of an entire stack if they jump down on them and stuff like that. For the most part, mines will take care of just about anything. They are definitely a deterrent to be fired at with missiles or just units you just don't care about and just want to get rid of. Just sacrificial lambs for the mines. Now, long story short, I am putting this game on my shelf and it's staying there. I was wondering about it at first, but now it definitely is. I mean, I love the tactical theme, okay, dealing with the orbits. It is easy to learn, so I can teach somebody else. And the fact that I just like the theme of the game itself. It's the Americans versus the Russians. I mean, and I know it's the APU, but don't be surprised if you see me put a little sticker on the board or something like that, if you ever see me crack open the game. But that also, talking about customizing a game, I might actually make it a micro game. Now, I'm going to keep the counters. I wouldn't get rid of them because you don't need to stack on the board because of nukes and stuff like that. But there are holding spots where your units are waiting to come out from deep space or being launched from Earth. So there is some stacking going on. With paper counters, they would just go all over the place. So that doesn't bother me. I can make keep the counters as it is. But I could possibly make my own map board and just fold it up and maybe shrink the rules down, PDF that thing to the point where the font's smaller and everything, and I can fold it up and put it with my other games. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but for right now, it's fine just where it is, and I'll worry about that if I actually need the space and I need to bend a rule so I don't break a rule. But overall, I had a lot of fun. I think you will too. Find a friend that has it, play it, and and I will see you guys next video.